Smart 24, driving business.
Hi there, very good morning, and how you doing? And welcome to Smart Means Business. Today is the 18th, that is of October, the year 2023. And well, I'm Andrew Barigi here with Godwin, and definitely we're going to be driving you through all the way as we definitely bring you those discussions that actually very remarkable when it comes to decision making and implementation at the same time. Good morning, Godwin. How was your morning like?
Good morning, Andrew. My morning is great. It's a bit chilly, as you can tell. It felt like it was about to rain in the morning.
Yeah.
So I believe it's about to be one of those windy days. But we have a lot. We definitely have a really good topic today that we're going to discuss. As you know, many of you know I'm passionate about build Uganda, buy Uganda, and all that we talk about in that respect. So today we're really going to talk about quality control of goods and what's the narrative surrounding our goods here in Uganda, and how can we sort of bolster that narrative so we can start to really invest in our own products and improve them, especially considering a lot that's happening in the economy right now.
All right, very well said by Godwin India. But of course, before we proceed to this very discussion, I still have to remind you that today is a Thursday, and for those of you that are actually much more interested in investing your money, of course, there is a platform for you here which says avoid all the scammers out there, and that is done Alva Zabu. This is a platform from all East Africa, and through this platform, you can actually be in position to buy government bonds, securities for a few, just 15,000
to buy. Dial star 292 hash. Step 2, select buy.
As I be speaking, they'll be opening at exactly 8:15 a.m. and run all the way. That is to 3:15 p.m. East African time, and this is going to be effective. This is rather effective Monday up to Friday, except on the weekends and the public holidays, and when this market's going to be accessed. But of course, that's not the big deal. At least you have the rest of the days to capitalize and make money, something which I believe personally that it's quite key and important when it comes to your financial growth and development. Zalma, this is a reality for you. Rock with it all the way, and that's why it tells you boldly that it's my money, it's my future, and all that East Africa tells you that you need to do something new for itself. It is 2023. Well, proceeding with the topic of discussion today, quality control. But definitely, as we speak right now, we need to understand what is quality control and what is the legal framework like for quality control in Uganda. Right?
Yes, and obviously the conversation has sparked a lot of since the value addition conversation that we talked about with when the African president, and they're able to talk about value addition and how we can sort of improve the quality of our goods before we start to export them, right? So we can get more of that value for money as opposed to sending just the raw materials and then we're sending them back. They're selling us our very own goods.
Very unfinished product.
It's incredible. I mean, we talked about, I think, was it Denmark or in the Netherlands, who was the second or largest exporter of avocado, but they don't even grow one single avocado. So they definitely import it from Africa. So there's so many conversations, especially surrounding quality control. We know that in Uganda, the governing body for quality control is the UNBS, Uganda National Bureau of Standards.
Standards,
right?
yes, sorry.
So it's meant to make sure that every product that is produced in here meets the snuff in terms of quality. We're talking about products like skincare, that don't have that mark that says UNBS.
Certified.
We're talking about spices that are being produced here that don't have that mark that's certified. And we notice that a lot of these Ugandan products don't have that certified mark. Is it because we don't understand the value of having our products certified, or we don't see the importance of it, or this body itself is not doing enough? And those are conversations we need to have, because listen, I am all about building Uganda by Uganda. And if you know me, everything that I try to do now, especially having lived abroad for a while, when you come back, you appreciate the quality of products that you do have. Right? I just came from the trade fair, and I talk about the trade fair because it really opened my eyes to how many local products we have produced here. But many of these people aren't out there enough, or they're not pushed because we look at our own products as less than standard. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there is this inferiority complex that we have towards these products, you know, in terms of, but you see, the absolute effect here is that the quality is there. The only issue, actually, away from the propaganda that is being spread, is that the cost of production these people actually incur make these products quite a little bit expensive to obtain, from the taxes, from the raw materials, because it seems like the tax holiday policy in here, the tax incentive policy is still a little bit, it's much more oriented when it comes to attracting foreign investors, but it doesn't favor a local investor to invest in that way.
That's very true. Yeah.
In my own opinion, 65% as reason as why majority of the Ugandans have failed to embrace this. It's not because, I don't think it's a quality issue, but it's a price issue.
I mean, I double down on that fact. I don't honestly think it's purely quality, right? You've said, of course, the cost of production is quite high, cost of raw materials, as well as going to the market. They're competing amongst all these other products that have that that superiority complex that they have, as I am the better product than you are the inferior one. Even the people themselves, the narrative has been pushed onto us that our products are not as good or as not as researched, and yet they are. We have the good raw materials.
Because at least I've tried to, I've encountered some of them, and actually the qualities.
I mean, it is. I mean, going back to the trade fair, so many good products.
You really witnessed that.
I noticed quality shoes that I saw in Uganda done by the prison workers.
Exactly.
That were amazing. I'm talking about Calvin Klein level. But just because they don't have that brand, obviously you're going to say, oh, it's Uganda. I mean, we're just having a conversation because we have a roundtable discussion about some of these topics. And one of the people said that, listen, in Uganda, we know if you buy a jean and you sit down, it's going to tear. And my goodness, I was thinking that's such an interesting narrative that we have around our products, say in Uganda, that we already assume if it's done in Uganda, it is in quality. And that's not fair to those people who are actually trying their best to do production and quality. Because think about it, we import Chinese products. And I know that for Chinese products that we import in here, we're importing in Chinese. I mean, if it's Chinese made, understand that it's going to be wear and tear. It's not going to last for long. And in China, they will tell you the products that they export to those countries, there's quality A, there's grade A, there's grade B, and there's grade C.
Absolutely.
So there are grades that they export to Uganda, knowing that, listen, these are cheaper quality, and also the people that are going to acquire these products in China are also getting the much cheaper products and selling them at very high quality prices here. So it's unfair. So the best way we can start to bolster our economy is how can we start to really push the narrative that Uganda has good quality products and then have them certified. Because
the other challenge is in there. Okay, from the quality perspective, the personalities that have the legal framework that are responsible to enforce the legal aspects of this, I mean, sometimes there are a little bit of deficiencies which are obtained. Because I'll be honest with you, at some point in time, due to some sorts of loopholes in the systems, when some people actually take their products to be certified, there is some sort of a demand of that there is something that ought to be fulfilled before you actually get that.
Yes, I think you're trying to talk about corruption. So say it in plain words.
You know, you see, so it puts me to a question that if I have the resources, whatever it entails, that means I can have my product out there in the market without the mark.
Yeah.
And it's great. Are you seeing the challenges we have in there?
I mean, just that.
Okay, it will have the mark, but not keenly.
Yeah, just reframe for the audience viewers what Andrew is trying to say is corruption. We have an issue with corruption here. So you find that people who have not even met the quality standards of UNBS, the quality legal standards on paper, as making sure that this product has met all the necessary requirements, people are still going ahead and passing that area, and they're giving the check mark or the stamp of UNBS, right? And this is all speculative. But I'm telling you that it's all speculative because there's no way to prove it. But we do know there's a huge problem with corruption in Uganda. There's a huge problem with bribery, where a lot of these people pay to get that stamp just because they know it's something that's needed. And they say, oh, approved by UNBS. Definitely approved. So we're thinking, you know what, it's quality stuff. And that corruption is what's setting us behind, which brings us to another issue, Andrew.
Because now...
that lack of awareness.
Lack of awareness, absolutely true. Because I always keep asking myself a question. What are the standards? For example, if we have the UNBS, what are those standards? What are those frameworks it works on? Are they regional based? Are they national based? Because question in point is that why our maize rejected in Sudan? Why our products rejected? However much there is this whole aspect of protecting, of these nations claiming they're protecting the domestic markets within there. Okay, it might make some sort of a sense in some sort of way, but let us look into that other factor also of quality.
You've made a really good point that I want to also dovetail into. You've talked about Is it an international
Is it
standard?
international standard?
Are they domestic
Regional
standards or
or
are they
domestic
regional
standard?
standards?
Yeah.
That brings us to a point, especially since we're in a space where we want to export our very own good products outside of the country. Do they meet the international standards?
Yeah.
What a very excellent point, Andrew, because as we're thinking, this is just pass a little check mark here. But, that's where that lack of awareness is going to come from people, especially companies, startups that are looking to go international from Uganda. And they think, you know what, in Uganda, let's just quickly pay somebody and get the quick check mark. Unfortunately for them, there's not going to be longevity if they want to meet the international demands of those products, because they're going to be rejected, as you've mentioned, because they're thinking in Uganda, they just let us slide. You know, they didn't ask for so much paperwork. They didn't ask for so much. But then when we're trying to export these products on an international level, let's give an example. And let's say Samona, right? Let's say Samona has gone regional, Movit has gone international, and people are starting to hear about these amazing skin products in Uganda that can heal eczema, that can heal rashes. And I'm thinking, let's take this product global. And then when you go global and you're thinking, does it meet the National Drug Authority standards? Does it meet the national standards for this? They're thinking this product doesn't meet, it's missing this, this, and this, and this. And they're thinking, but on a local level, it was approved.
It was approved.
On an international level, you're telling me it's not approved. What's going to happen? It's going to limit our resources. It's going to limit our exports because we're not meeting the actual international standards. So who holds the checks and balances? Who holds UNBS accountable? Because I'm seeing, according to this article, some of the issues that UNBS is facing, of course, the state of quality control on goods in Uganda is generally improving, according to this article, but there are still some challenges that the UNBS is facing. Of course, it's responsible for it has developed a number of standards for goods and services. However, enforcement of these standards is another thing.
Of the standards
can be weak. So we're seeing, according to this article, there's a weak enforcement of standards by the UNBS. So basically, there's like how we're having an anti-corruption body that's not really anti-corrupting, is it? So we're having a UNBS body. No one is actually going out and enforcing. Do we have people? You saw KCCA goes and checks for paperwork with all these shops and then closes them down.
Exactly.
Do we have that?
License?
Do you have a license? Do you have a trading license? Do you have a corporation license? All the certificates. Do you have a tin certificate? Are you paying your taxes? The way they constantly have those people go out into the field. Whatever incentives those people are given to go out and make sure they curb people who are illegally trading.
We also have the quality.
We need to have those people at the UNBS level who go in and look at all the products in all these places, all these factories that are producing these products, and start to do the checks and balances by force.
The last time I remember about that enforcement was way back in 2021 down there in Chiseni. They went to those people that were actually milling maize. But the big factor was they were trying to take a look at the places in which they produce this maize. Are they wealthy? But anyway, it was a little bit, I was there personally, I was there, but what I saw when I was in those places, I could be imagining, honestly, if this is the product that is actually being produced out there, this was a right move to check. But we also need to have this for so many products.
And for consistently across the board, right? Is what you're trying to say?
Yes. Apart from we seeing Uganda Revenue Authority raiding shops in there for, the taxes, products which are being sold there, which are not there. But let us also look into the quality. Let's go check the Vaselines that are sold in the shops out there. UNBS doing
the food, local
food that is being done all there. All such
the local pharmaceutical products that are being
local
produced.
pharmaceutical products.
Very important.
We need to see such hijacking, surprising moves.
Exactly.
Really see
because you find especially the pharmaceutical products, there are so many additives they could be adding that are not at standard level. That could be potential cancer-causing things, agents, right? There could be carcinogenic things properties that are adding. So there's so many things that we have to be able to check in. It's a constant conversation that we're going to continue to have. It's an interesting one. And we shall continue having all the way throughout the day. So watch out for that. So right now, I think we'll be getting into
the breast. Let's get into the breast and see what's happening in there. All right. Okay. That is Gordon is going to be taking us through the new vision. I'll be taking you through the Daily Monitor. And maybe just to give you a quick recap here, Judge okays interest on loans from friends. Well, that's so interesting. And also, loans from friends are interest-free, no collateral. But now, of course, I can see in his statement, it says that it would defeat common sense and the doctrine of freedom of contract if it were to be suggested that friendly loan advances should be interest-free and that no security deposit is required. Such that is a postulation with respect would tantamount an enormous understanding of the current regime on lending money. Anyway,
that is interesting, right? That conversation regarding interesting. How does that work? If it's a friendly conversation that you're having and you've lent a friend, do you then write out a document? Because you need to write out a document that you present to the judge in case that document is breached.
Exactly.
That agreement is breached, rather. But now if it's a friendly conversation, it's just a tongue-in-cheek conversation. I'm lending you this money.
Or I'm giving you this money.
It's very hard to enforce that. So that is all well and good. But if there's nothing in writing, it's going to be very hard to enforce it. If you have no evidence, rather, no audios, no phone recordings, that's a tough one. So we're also looking at the new vision. We have Museveni advisors on ICT business. So we're seeing President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni shows off his personal phone, Katoki, at the MTN store during the opening of the second annual National ICT Job Fair 2023. So we're seeing here at the Kololo Independence grounds yesterday. You can check that out in the new vision as well.
Okay, and also ADF killed British and South African tourists and the Ugandan guide. Actually, this was very absurd. It happened yesterday night. When I checked it out, it made rounds all the way. And what does that really bring to the tourism industry in Uganda? ADF attacks, 2 tourists dead, and the guide in Queen Elizabeth National Park as we're heading towards Kasese.
That's interesting, right? Yeah. Very interesting. And we're also seeing in the national news, Uganda discusses more trade deals with Russia. So we're seeing here as Uganda and Russia discuss several trade deals, more Ugandan business people have started appreciating the opportunities in Russia. Uganda's ambassador to Moscow, Moses Chizige, has said. In an interview with New Vision at Uganda's embassy in Moscow recently, Chizige revealed that negotiations were ongoing between Kampala and Moscow for more trade deals and favorable terms. I really hope that this is going to come out with a positive outcome.
Very true. And then President Yoweri Museveni still says use information communication technology to develop the economy, as the president has cautioned the Ugandans against using information communication technology to promote importation of goods. But rather, let's see how we can actually export our products. How can we use information communication technology to actually enhance exports?
That will be really interesting, especially since we're talking about ICT is the new norm and this is where we're going. How can we start to use IT? How can we use the AI systems to help us understand the markets better? Those are things that we need to, as we talked about cryptocurrency yesterday, isn't it?
Perfect,
so also we see in the national news, Museveni meets Dubai Polish investors. I love the conversations that we're having with foreign investment, that's happening. So President Yoweri Museveni has met 2 top investors from Poland and Dubai, United Arab Emirates. The investors are the CEO and Managing Director of Road Capital Commercial, yes. Director of Road Capital Commercial, yes. Group Charter, El Taki, who called on him Monday afternoon at the State House on Entebbe. So I'm hoping those discussions are going to be as fruitful as they seem.
Okay. Now, of course, there is here something in relation to what we are discussing about. Kampala City Council Authority, that is Kasita Trade, has petitioned Parliament that is to intervene over the car importation saga. And of course, inside the pre-export car inspection battle, you can still find that out. And scientists too to benefit, that is from 166 billion Ugandan shillings for HIV vaccine discovery.
That's a lot of money there, right?
A lot of
also
money.
Seeing here, Uganda leading region in business outsourcing. Interesting, right? So according to National Planning Authority, about 700,000 people join the job market per year in Uganda.
700,000.
But about 90,000 are able to get absorbed by the job market. So the thing is, we're now doing a lot of outsourcing outside. So people are joining the job market, but unfortunately only 90,000 of them are absorbed.
About to get 700,000, 90,000. So
that's a huge margin.
The balance is 690,000. Oh my goodness.
So we're seeing here that Uganda holds a clear advantage over countries in the region when it comes to outsourcing jobs from abroad. New survey findings have revealed. So we definitely are outsourcing a lot of people outside of Uganda, which is not always the best thing.
The best thing, absolutely. And of course, here, state lawyer convicted, fined with 7 million Ugandan shillings over bribery. Of course, you find out that. And 2 children drowned in the Mali City floods. Very absurd. And of course, coming in down to the locals snub government, that is meet. Locals snub government meet as fight over that is 1,000-acre land depends. That way, land grabbing. Actually, President Yoweri Museveni established a commission that is responsible, a committee, some sort of a way that they are responsible to help those people that have actually experiencing these issues to do with land grabbing. You lost your land out over terms that were not really understandable, illegal terms and all that. So We are glad.
And I hope they really curb this issue, because land grabbing
because
is an
it's
issue.
becoming a big issue, most especially in the central.
It's a big problem, especially for having the fake documents that are made.
You have the
fake ownership, that people are selling you empty land that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
They're selling you a title that never existed before, and it's not enforced when you go into to get your land, and you're like, this land doesn't exist. So that's really, really sad.
Actually, somebody says if you're purchasing land, you make sure that if God when you're selling me your land, I need to see the agreement on which you got the land from. At least if I can trace two generations back of that transfer, then I can make a decision. But if I just see you just bring me the title, are you transferring? Yet I don't know for you, how did you acquire that?
Exactly, and many people having fake titles. It's such a big problem now, and I'm glad there's a body now that's looking into that. We're also seeing in terms of bribery, right? We're seeing state attorney fined she's 7 million over receiving bribe. So we're seeing here that Kigwana was convicted of soliciting a bribe of 6 million shillings. So because he solicited a bribe of 6 million shillings, they're asking him to pay back 7 million. So it pays an extra, yeah. So that 7 million, an extra million. So all the money that he got plus an extra million just for.
Okay. We need more of such enforcement in this country. Now, of course, something here to do with issues that may derail. That is the parish revolving fund. So you can really get yourself. This is in the comment section of the Daily Monitor, and I see something here to do with the militarization of police must be frowned upon. Well.
That's interesting, yes, because they have such enforcement as police. You think they're military, so militarization. So demilitarization of the police is a good thing, because the police is meant to just enforce the law. They're not supposed to almost like enforce it to the level where they're being brutal and harsh and
like the army.
Like the army, which is not right. Yeah?
All right.
So we're also seeing here in terms of business, rice varieties can produce 6.5 tons per hectare. So new crop varieties to boost food security exports. We're seeing here the Agriculture Ministry, through its research arm, the National Agriculture Research Organization, NARO, has released new crop varieties for food security, nutrition industry, and to boost exports. So that's really good. I love that we're diversifying the food varieties that we have, so we can boost, especially in the realm of agriculture, since it's our biggest bread and butter here. I love that we're now looking at different varieties within the agriculture space that we can start to export.
Interesting. Then finally, of course, seeing some here in the latest section, why Uganda needs a comprehensive approach to education planning. You get that, find out. And also unlocking Africa's potential in medical tourism is key. Medical tourism.
That's quite important, right? And we're seeing here Uganda-Saudi ties are strong.
Yeah.
So we're seeing the Royal Kingdom of Saudi Arabia celebrated its National Day last month. The ambassador extraordinarily and plenipotentiary to Uganda, Jamal Muhammad Al Madani, told New Vision about the relations between the two countries' remittances from Ugandans in Saudi Arabia, and what Uganda can learn from the country. So we're seeing there's a lot more relationship being built with Saudi.
All right. Very interesting, and of course some here to do with homes plus real estate. Well, you can really check that out. And finally, here they tell you that how tenants can effectively deal with sneaky landlords out there.
That's an interesting one, right? How we can start dealing with
sneaky landlords that way? Well, that is it from the press, and it's exactly, I can see it's exactly 25 minutes past 7, and now we'll take a short break. But of course, before that, still to remind you that all these conversations, these amazing conversations that you're listening to the show, are probably brought to you by ZAB, which is a platform from Altex East Africa, and through this platform, you can actually be in position to buy bonds and securities for just 15,000 Uganda shillings. Of course, here you dial *292#, which is the code, and it leads you to those options where you can buy bonds. But also remember, before you can proceed efficiently to trade these bonds, you need to register with your national identification number. You have to register with your card number at the same time, so that you can actually proceed. And the market's open. They'll be opening at 8:15 a.m., run all the way to 3:15 p.m. That is East African time. And this is effective Monday up to Friday, except from the weekends and the public holidays when those markets cannot be accessed. But like I always say, that's when the big deal. You have the rest of the days to make money. That's why Zabo tells you that it's my money, it's my future. And Altex East Africa tells you that you need to do something new. Well, for now, we'll take a short break, and coming up shortly, Caribbean East Africa and the international update.